Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome, one and all. Welcome. Pull up a chair, pull up a stool, get yourself comfortable. All right, you're comfortable? You're relaxed and ready to listen? Are you on the train? Are you in your car? Are you just sat at home and doing some hoovering, trying to listen to me in your ears? Anyway, no matter where you are in the world, I'm here in the UK and I'm here to talk to you with advanced English. Well, natural native English conversation. Unedited and unscripted, off the cuff, and under an hour. All right, so the weather here outside is a little bit overcast, but it's quite warm. It's the middle of June or the beginning of June. It's quite warm. Not many showers, so we're quite good that way. We're quite happy. Not many showers. I like it when it's not raining. Right, okay, so I have recorded this once already and it didn't come out very well. So I'm going to do it again and hopefully I've got as much energy and enthusiasm and gusto as I did in the first version. All right, I've got lots of lights on here on my face. So if I squint, it's because it's so bright and light for those that are watching it on YouTube. Okay. My microphone setup, I have got an arm to hold the microphone, but I thought I'd hold it myself now. It's a nice microphone setup, but like I said, on the last one it didn't record. Something popped up on the screen, but I didn't pay attention, and that's my own fault. Okay. Anyway, enough of me complaining. All right. Hopefully you're well. Hopefully you're happy and you're settled, and hopefully you're enjoying your language journey of English right now. Hopefully there's lots and lots of interesting things to dive into or delve into. And you're occupied and interested in the language. One thing I notice a lot of people or a lot of students have said to me in regards to listening to real English compared to prescribed, prescripted stuff on YouTube or books and audio listenings is that in real life, probably the same in your country and language, we use a lot of contractions. So often the words will seem a lot shorter, a lot quicker. Now, my brother has ADHD and I struggle to understand him. He speaks very fast and cuts off half the words. So my aim here is not to cut off the words and to say and speak clearly for you to try and understand. Not everybody's going to understand everything because lots of things are specific to my region or specific to my country, and not everybody understands everything. It's the same for other languages, I suppose. Right, okay, so today we're going to have a conversation about driving. So you may know that in the UK here, we drive on the left-hand side of the road, which is the correct and only side of the road to drive on. Now I can hear you all screaming and shouting already. But if we look at the history of why we drive on the left-hand side, it dates back to when we were on horses. And we used to be able to have to fight on a horse to protect ourselves, whether we're on a track and there's like you're on one side and the other person's on the other side. The whole reason is because the majority of men, not all men, but majority of men are right-handed. And so that means you're able to put your hand down to your hip or your waist and reach out and pull out your sword and fight with your right hand. So you always would ride on the left-hand side of the road going forward, and people coming the opposite way would also be on the left-hand side, specifically so they could defend themselves with their sword if needed to. So that's the whole reason why we in the UK and a few other countries drive on the left-hand side. Now, there was a short period where we didn't, and that's when we were ruled by the French. We have a lot of great French words, and the French have done a lot for our country. much like the Romans. So I like the French. French are great people, very clever in regards to engineering as well. You know, we did the Channel Tunnel together and quite a lot of other infrastructure projects. So the French are very good. Concorde, actually, we the British and the French made Concorde together. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, a lot of great words and a lot of great things come from France as well. So yeah, France was colonized us for, I think it's around 100 years-ish, Napoleon and that kind of era. Please forgive me if I'm wrong and put me right in the comments. I am not infallible. I am just a human being after all. I get things wrong sometimes. Anyway, so we on the left, and that's the main reason, is to fight and protect and defend yourself with your right hand. Because, like I said, most men are right-handed. Okay, so other countries were driving on the left or using the left until they left the Commonwealth or the colonial grips of the UK and decided out of pure aggression or frustration or downright stuff the British, we're going to go on the other side of the road. And rightly so, chose to go on the other side. So that's up to them. And I think there may have been issues because I think also the right eye is stronger, or the right hemisphere in regards to spatial awareness is also better, but that's another story. Right, transport, what we're talking about, transport. So as a young man, I passed my motorcycle license first. That was the most important to me because I loved motorcycles. And to date, I think I've had about 13 or 14 motorcycles, various sizes and styles. I really like the open road and the rocking and rolling of motorcycles and engines. And playing about with them. So that's quite a few motorcycles. A few years later, I passed my car test. Kind of wish I'd done it before because I would have had granddad rights, which just means that you got rights to be able to drive other vehicles under your car license. That was 1997 that ended, and I missed that. So anyway, I have a car license and I've been driving since 1997, and also I've had lots and lots of different cars. Also, about 11 or 12 years ago, I passed my coach license. Coach, it's like a bus, but it's taller and it has a lot of room underneath for storing all sorts of packages and parcels and luggage and anything else you want to chuck underneath. So a coach is generally made for faster roads like the motorways and dual carriageways and for longer distances. So it's a faster vehicle with a different style of gear ratio, you know, whereas a bus has harder seats and designed for short trips, short journeys, hence why you'll see the bus go round and around the town. All right, so a bus has harder seats. Often in the UK, the bus has no heating or air conditioning. We just have to open the window or shut the window. That's us in the UK. That's how it's been for a long time. So yeah, a bus is generally designed for shorter trips and has different gear ratio, but it's the same license. Once you pass your test, you do a theory test and a case study test and some other theory test, and then you do the practical test. Once you passed all that, then you normally pass the test in a coach. So once you can drive the coach, the big vehicle, then you're able to drive the smaller buses if you want. But the coach is normally first. So a coach, I drove a coach and still have a license and still keep it current because you have to stay updated with professional certificate of professional conduct or something like that, or CPC. And also you have to have a medical. I think once you get to 45 years old, it's every 5 years. And then I think once you get to 60 or 65, it's every 1 year. I think 65, every 1 year, something like that. So you have to stay up to date and you have to update your... So not only do you have a CPC card, you also have a tachograph card. And that measures exactly how much driving hours you're doing and what rest you're having and things like that. Again, that's necessary by the government. Unless you're, and now forgive me again if I get this wrong, unless you're doing a small local route, which is less than 50 miles or a parameter. And there are a few other small exceptions where you don't have to use a tacho card, which records your mileage and rest and other work, things like that. So yeah, there's quite a bit to staying up to date with driving a coach. Now, coaches come in a few different shapes and sizes. You have minibuses, which you can take a smaller license for up to 16 seats. That'll often be a teacher might take that license. There's plenty of other things to do as well. You can drive a really large coach called a triaxle, TRI, meaning 3 axles or 3 sets of wheels, whichever way you want to look at it, because the two front wheels might not be connected with an axle. So anyway, I digress. So a triaxle. So you got a really big coach and you got a little minibus, all under the same heading of license. We call it a D license, D for Delta. Right. Now, as I said previously, well, you haven't heard it previously, but on a previous recording, I said that there's bread and butter, what we call bread and butter. The main income, the thing that you can fall back on, the thing that's easiest, and the thing that a lot of people do with a license is go back to driving for schools, school contracts. So you probably do pick up a route, pick up the children on a route, and then go out to the secondary school in the morning, say between maybe 7:30 and 8:45. Time you drop them off, go back to the yard, it might be 9:15, 9:30. And then the same route in the afternoon, maybe from 2:30, 3 o'clock to get to the school, pick them all up, and then drop them back off on the route again. And that's mostly teenagers. So we have primary school from sort of 5 years up to 11. They rarely get the bus, very, very rarely. And then we have secondary school, which is from 11-year-olds up to 16. That we call secondary school. And then after that, you can go to college for a couple of years, or you can do an apprenticeship. So where you work directly for a company and learn from the age of 16, maybe hairdressing or engineering or whatever you're interested in. So in engineering. Then, if after, say, you've done 2 years at college, you want to further your academic career, you could then go into university, or as they call it in America, college. But we call college the bit between 16 and 18. So you might do your A levels. All right, so there's not many qualifications in preschool or primary school. But in secondary school, we have qualifications. At the end, you do your GCSEs. Golf, Sierra, Charlie, Echo. Golf, Charlie, Sierra, Echo. Golf, Charlie, Sierra, Echo. GCSEs. I think it's something like General Studies of Education, something like that. So you do that until you're 16. Then when you leave at 16, you can go on to college and do your A-levels. You need A-levels to get into university. And you also need A-levels for some careers, some other jobs. All right, so that's schools. Schools are a little bit boring and you go around the same route. You might get put on a different route. There are other things you can do as well, because sometimes you'll get a contract where you don't get paid. Often you don't get paid for the holidays. So there's normally 42 weeks of the year. And then the government will insist that you get paid an extra 4 other weeks minimum is normally the case. And that would be pro rata, meaning the same as a full-time person, but with the holiday entitlement is reduced the same as your hours would be reduced. So if you did 40 hours and you got paid 20,000 for the year, pro rata would then mean somebody that worked 20 hours would earn 10,000 a year. All right, so it's equal in the same measure, in a same quantity or similar quantity. All right, pro rata. So a lot of school drivers get fed up in the holidays, whether they're not earning or whatever. And there's other jobs you can do. You can do private hire. Not guaranteed, unfortunately. Private hire is when you might take a stag do or a hen do, which is men that are in a group and one of them is about to get married. So maybe the week before they might all go off to another city and have fun and get drunk and do an adventurous activity, maybe quad biking or something like that. And then there's also hen do. Stag is for the men, because I think that means like a deer or, like a deer or those things with antlers. And the hens, well, it was like the female chicken. And again, they would also go off to maybe another city. Sometimes they go to the same city, but they normally stay separate and have a girly time or a guy's time and do whatever activity. That's often not the best work to do because often the people are very, very drunk. So there can be a lot of hassle. The same with the schools. Some teenagers also can be rebellious and rambunctious. Exuberance, all that excitement and energy. There's also other things such as football clubs. There's often you'll take a football team to go play against another football team at their home ground. And that can be interesting as well because often the men will get drunk there. Same with rugby teams. So there's things you can do in the holidays. And these things happen all year round as well. So you could be doing a school run during the day and then in the evening, if you have enough hours left of your allotted driving time, you could then go off and go do a club where you pick some people up from a club and take them to, I don't know, another place, an activity place, just for example. And then there's another kind of work you can do with buses and coaches, and that's tour work. But I forgot to mention, with the schools, often you'll pick up, if you're full-time, you'll pick up during the day in between your school run and take young children to the swimming pool and back again. You might work for one school and do that multiple times a day and multiple times a week. So sometimes you are busy, sometimes you're just doing school runs. Depends on your contract and what you prefer, what you've agreed. All right, tours. Now this can be interesting. Sometimes you could do a tour of another country and you could just be the driver and enjoying the scenery and enjoying some of the activities that go along with it. You could do a tour of your own country. You could do city tours. So there's various different types of tours. Sometimes, just sometimes, wink wink, you can make a little bit of extra money on a tour. You could be selling bottles of water, for example. So that's tours. Tours are very rare these days in the UK. We don't have many of them. Not many at all. And then sometimes you might have to work your way up the ladder, as they say. You might have to be in the job a while before they'll let you drive a big expensive tour bus and be in charge of all those people and all that money, and I don't know, there's a lot of responsibility apparently. Okay, so there's lots to do with coaches and a few other things that I haven't mentioned. So coaches are interesting. Also, not long after my coach test, a couple of years later, I did my lorry license. So I've had my lorry license nearly 10 years. Now, lorry license opens up a whole new industry, kind of sector. There we go. We use the word sector. A whole new sector of different things you can do with a lorry license. Now, just to be quick, because there's a lot of it, there's curtain-sided, flat bed, there's skips, there's refrigerated, ambient temperature, there's a high ab, which has got a crane on the back, there's dangerous and potentially explosive chemicals and petroleum vehicles. There's medical units. There's tons and tons of different types of lorry sectors that you can get involved with. That you can. Some need extra certificates, like the fuels, like if you're delivering petroleum fuel, and or if you're using a crane on the back. Now, often these cranes have a name, the generic manufacturer's name, like a Hiab, or what else is there? A Moffat. But Moffat is generally a forklift truck that is attached to the back of a lorry. Now it beseeches me, I cannot think of the name of the other cranes on the back of the lorry. Hiab, Pro Reach. Oh, there's quite a few. There's a handful of big names. Again, an extra certificate, and you get a little bit extra money, not a lot, probably like 50 pence or a pound for per hour. And often it can be interesting if you're delivering, for example, a skip. There's a roll-on and roll-off skip, which are normally really tall sides, real big bit of equipment. And then there's chain skips that are lifted on and off with a chain on 4 chains, one on either side, and a hydraulic arm lifts the whole thing over. Now, with the chain skips, those skips, they're generally given to members of the public, put on their drive if they want to empty out their garage, or if they're throwing away a lot of rubbish at once. They can put them in one of these skips. Okay, so that's lots of different types of cranes, lorries, Hiabs, flat curtains, all different types, refrigerated. Lots and lots of different types of different sectors within the transport industry. Now, I've been on an agency, and an agency, if you don't know, is a company that employs you temporarily and put you to work at a company for a short period of time, often just a week, sometimes a month. Now, some companies recruit, they hire people through the agency. So you might work there for 6 months, and they say, yeah, we really like this guy. He's really good. Can we buy him from the agency? And they'll pay a fee, and then the driver will work directly for the company. But most agencies cover lots and lots of different sectors. So if you're a new driver, it's a good way to get your foot in the door. All right, it's a good way of starting, a good way of getting to know the job and the sector by driving lots of different types of vehicles. And I've driven lots of different types of vehicles. Some days you turn up at a factory or a warehouse or an industrial unit, and they'll give you a set of keys and a clipboard, and they'll say, there you go, that's your route, go sort it out, and we'll see you tonight. And I'm like, oh okay. And then so you get your lorry sat nav ready, and you put in, you have a little look at the destinations on your clipboard, and you decide maybe what's the furthest one away. I'll start there, and then I'll come back and try and make a straight route or a circle, whichever works for you best. And then you'd organise that yourself. Obviously, taking in consideration your driving hours, when you have to have a break and things like that. Sometimes there are other factors that you've got to bear in mind, whether the town or the city allows HGV vehicles in the high street after 9 o'clock in the morning, and things like that. Or it might say on the notes, the warehouse staff are off in the morning and not available until after 12 o'clock. So you need to read the notes and then work out your route, to fit in around that. Generally, you want to try and be as efficient as possible. That's kind of the aim of the game there, is to be efficient. And then communicate with the companies that you're delivering to and your own office, your own supervisor. Right, so that's agency work. It's generally pretty stable in this day and age. There's a lot of agency work available, and it's actually harder to get a regular driving job than it is to get an agency job. I don't know why. Oh well. So, one other thing I wanted to say is that a few years back, I also did my my crane license. Now, I'm not talking about a little crane on the back of a lorry that unloads a bag of sand or bricks, unloading for what it's carrying on there. Although I have done that. But I actually did a full crane license. And this was a 40-ton, 40, a really big piece of machinery. And it was left-hand drive. And it had really huge, massive, colossal wheels. It couldn't drive very fast, like 40 miles an hour. It weighed 40 tons. And the maximum it could lift was 40 tons. So it was a big bit of machinery. I worked there for a year. I didn't like it, actually. It was very interesting. The course and the training was quite comprehensive and intense. It was a difficult course. And I didn't like the job. So I didn't stay. But I paid for it out of my money, so it was my choice. But driving a crane is very, very different again. My crane, for example, had crab steer, which means it could go sideways, forwards and sideways, or forwards and sideways back, which gave it a lot of maneuverability. You could also turn the front wheels and the back wheels in together, and so it would do a really tight circle. All right? Spin around on a penny, they would say, or turn on a dime, as they might say in America. Turn on a dime. Spin on a penny. Very small turning radius. So that was very interesting to drive, that crane. And I went to a lot of building sites, and lifted stuff on and off of lorries, and put in sides of houses on building sites and roofs and things like that. Also worked for the waterways company a few times and lifted out part of the sewage treatment plant. What were they called? Gangways and gangplanks, things like that. So and turning paddles, lots of strange stuff, which is very interesting because it's different with lorry driving and coach driving. Very quickly, very, very quickly, it becomes same old, same old, same old, same old. Same in, day out, day in, day out. It can get very monotonous. So I'm not really keen on driving. It's not my favourite thing. I do it occasionally, to top up the coffers, as we might say. Coffers meaning money, top up the money. Like I say, I do like to meet people. I really enjoy meeting people, and sometimes on the crane or on the lorries, especially on the crane, you'd have a lot of time to connect with people and have good conversation. So that's the one bit I did like about it. But driving in general gets very boring very quickly, and it's quite stressful as well. Not only have you got lots of ignorant and incompetent drivers on the road, which actually is not as bad as some other countries. I've driven in lots of countries, and the UK is probably one of the best countries to drive in. Anyway, there's a lot of people on the road, and it does get frustrating. And then also you have your employer ringing you up saying, where are you? Where are you? You need to get to this place. Hurry up. You need to get... So you're concerned about your own license. You don't want to drive so fast you get in trouble or you have an accident, yet you've got your boss on your back telling you to hurry up. So it's a little bit of a stressful thing, driving a vehicle, whether it's a coach or a lorry. And I didn't really enjoy it that much. But driving in the UK on the left-hand side is pretty good. It's pretty good compared to other countries. People are very, very opposed to touching or hitting another vehicle. Everybody will avoid you at no matter what cost. So we really don't like scratches or dents on our vehicles in this country. Well, not me, other people, I suppose. They're very, very precious of their vehicles. So yeah, motorcycles. We don't have a lot of motorcycles these days. We have a few cyclists, which can be frustrating. Occasionally, you'll see a horse in the countryside and tractors. I also have a tractor and trailer certificate. There we go. But all in all, the roads here are quite busy. I mean, not as busy as, say, London or other capital cities, but even down here in the southwest of the country is quiet compared to London, but it's still a lot of traffic and a lot busier than, say, parts of Spain and France and Germany, where there seems to be a lot more use of public transport. I think people in the UK are not very impressed or don't like the public transport. It's not very cheap. The public transport here, you can use an Oyster card. You can use your debit card now, your bank card, to get on and off buses and trains and things. But the trains are super expensive here in the UK. And the buses, a bit hit and miss. And what I mean by that is that sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. For example, if you're in the city, the buses are very regular and reasonably priced. But in the countryside, the buses can be quite expensive for short trips. And in the countryside, people think and believe that you need a car to get around. Because it can be quite a few miles from one town to the next or one shop to the next. It's not massively expansive, but the cars drive fast here. People drive fast. They're in a rush. Even though we're not in the city, people still drive fast. We don't have lots of accidents, but it still can be a dangerous place, even for a cyclist or a pedestrian. So, there we go. Cyclists, pedestrians, public transport, lorries and coaches. Lots of different types of transport. If you have any questions about anything to do with transport, I'll do my best to answer them. Now, if you've driven anything unusual or exciting or interesting, let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to get involved with a conversation. That sounds very interesting. I kind of like transport, but I'm fed up with driving all the time. Catch-22, as you might say. Catch-22. All right, so a catch-22 is when you're stuck in a cycle that is perpetuated by itself. That doesn't make sense, does it? Oh well. So catch-22, you're stuck in a cycle that is going around and around and around. One thing is the precursor to the next thing, and the next thing is the precursor to the first thing. So they're connected. Oh, I give up. Catch-22. All right, if you have any thoughts or questions about transport, let me know in the comments. If you're going on a holiday on an airplane, let me know. Where are you going? Did you get to speak to the captain? Anything interesting about transport, let me know. Any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. All right, that's it for this week, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye for now.